Welcome to the SA Podcast. Sit back and enjoy our deep dive into cybersecurity topics and trends.
Daily life in Cambodia, it's going digital incredibly fast. I mean, online banking, mobile payments, it's everywhere now.
It really is. Quite astonishing.
But, all that convenience, it brings this massive challenge. How do you keep it all secure? That's what we're really diving into today.
And right at the heart of that security puzzle, especially for Cambodian banks, is the need for something called a Security Operations Center, a SOC.
SOCs. Right. So for you listening, maybe you're in finance, maybe you're investing, or maybe you're just interested in this digital shift. SOC, it's kind of like the nerve center, the command center for a bank's digital defenses.
That's a great way to put it. It's a dedicated team using specialized tech, and they are constantly 24/7 watching for cyber threats.
Not just watching, though.
No, much more. They detect, they analyze, and crucially, they respond immediately if something bad happens. It makes the whole bank much, much tougher against attacks.
And the urgency here, particularly in Cambodia, it seems really high because of how fast everything's moved online.
Exactly. That speed makes their financial sector a very attractive target for cyber criminals. They see opportunity there.
So for this deep dive, we've looked at some really insightful source material. Our goal is to pull out the key reasons why Cambodian banks need these SOCs, like now.
Yeah, what are the real risks if they don't act? And importantly, what are some practical steps they can actually take to get a SOC up and running?
We want to give you a clear picture of why this is so vital in Cambodia's, very dynamic situation.
Okay, so one of the first things that jumps out from the sources is this link, this almost direct connection between Cambodia's economic growth and its growing cyber vulnerability.
How so?
Well, as more and more financial services go online, the bank's digital footprint, their, let's call it digital playground, just gets bigger and bigger.
Which means more places for attackers to potentially get in.
Precisely. Now, this isn't unique to Cambodia, obviously, but the speed of the change there really ramps up the pressure. More weak spots appearing faster.
And the sources get pretty specific about the kinds of threats we're talking about, right? It's not just generic hacking.
Oh, definitely specific. Ransomware attacks are high on the list. That's the digital equivalent of, taking systems hostage and demanding money.
Nasty stuff. What else?
Then you've got phishing and all sorts of, increasingly clever fraud attempts, trying to trick employees, trick customers into giving up passwords, account details.
Usually through fake emails or websites that look real.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, the big one, data breaches. Stealing customer financial details, personal information, that stuff often ends up for sale on the dark web. A huge worry.
And it's not always someone from the outside trying to get in, is it?
That's a critical point. Insider threats are a major concern, too. This could be anything from a disgruntled employee deliberately leaking data.
Or just an accident, someone clicking a bad link.
Exactly. An accidental mistake that compromises security. And those insider threats, they can be really tricky to spot. You're looking for threats inside your own walls.
That's a lot to defend against. So, if a bank doesn't have a SOC, what's the fundamental weakness? Where are they most exposed?
The core vulnerability, really, is the lack of constant oversight. And maybe even more importantly, the lack of ability to react quickly and properly when something does happen.
No 24/7 eyes on glass.
Right. Without a dedicated SOC, you just don't have that constant monitoring. You probably lack the right tools to spot the early signs of an attack, and you don't have those practice, planned out procedures for what to do when the alarm bells ring.
So they're basically missing an early warning system and like a coordinated defense plan.
Pretty much. In an increasingly hostile digital world, that's a dangerous position to be in. A bank might not even realize it's under attack until serious damage is done.
Which leads us to the consequences. If a bank thinks, SOC sounds expensive, maybe we can wait. What are the real tangible downsides the sources highlight?
Oh, they're very real. First up, obviously, financial losses. Direct theft of funds, fraudulent transactions going through.
And the cleanup costs, right? Sometimes that's even bigger.
Absolutely. The cost of investigating, fixing systems, dealing with the fallout, it can be huge. The article mentions a global figure, financial firms losing over $12 billion to cybercrime in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. And even a, quote, smaller attack for a Cambodian bank could be devastating relative to their size, wiping out profits, hitting liquidity hard.
Beyond the direct money hit, what about things like regulations and customer trust?
Big factors. You've got potential regulatory penalties, Failing to meet standards set by Cambodia's national bank or international ones like PCI DSS for card payments, that can mean heavy fines, sanctions.
Or even losing their license.
In extreme cases, yes. And then there's the damage to customer trust. That's almost priceless, isn't it?
Especially in banking, trust is everything.
It really is. One public data breach can just shred a bank's reputation. Customers get nervous, they might leave, take their money elsewhere. It can take years to rebuild that trust, if ever.
And operational chaos, too, I imagine.
Definitely. Successful attacks can knock out online banking, ATMs, payment systems, grind everything to a halt. That causes chaos not just for the bank, but for businesses, for individuals trying to live their lives.
Okay, so the need for a SOC seems undeniable. For a bank in Cambodia listening to this and thinking, right, we need to do this, where do they start? What's step one?
The absolute first, most crucial step, according to the sources, is a thorough risk assessment, and not just ticking boxes.
What does that involve?
It means really digging deep to identify their specific critical assets, customer data, payment systems, internal networks, and then analyzing the specific threats they're most likely to face. Is it ransomware? Is it insider fraud? Is it sophisticated phishing?
So tailor the defense to the specific risks they face.
Exactly. You need that clear picture first.
Okay, so once they have that picture, what's the next big decision point?
That leads right into the how, the strategic choice. Do you build your own SOC entirely in-house? Do you outsource it to a specialized company? Or do you maybe look at a hybrid approach?
And each has its pros and cons, I guess.
For sure. Building in-house means a big upfront investment. You need cybersecurity experts, expensive tools like SIEM systems, ongoing training. It's a major commitment.
But you get more direct control.
Potentially, yes. More control. Outsourcing, on the other hand, means partnering with a managed SOC provider. Maybe a regional firm, maybe local.
That sounds like it could be quicker, maybe cheaper to get started.
Often, yes. More cost-effective initially because you're leveraging their existing people and tech. But, and this is important, you can't just completely hand it off.
Why not?
You still need some internal capability. People inside the bank who understand the alerts coming from the outsourced SOC, who can coordinate the response, who understand the bank's context. It needs to be a partnership.
Got it. So whether it's in-house, outsourced, or some kind of mix, what tech is absolutely essential? What's in the SOC toolkit?
Well, the sources point to a few core technologies. SIM is a big one, security information and event management.
SIM, like Splunk or Curar?
Exactly, those are well-known examples. Microsoft Sentinel is another. Think of SIEM as the central brain. It pulls in security logs from everywhere, network, servers, apps, and analyzes it all in real time, looking for suspicious patterns.
Correlating all that data. Okay, what else?
EDR, endpoint detection and response. This is vital for protecting the actual devices, computers, laptops, servers.
It goes beyond old school antivirus.
Oh yeah, way beyond. EDR actively watches what's happening on the endpoint, looking for suspicious behavior. It can spot and stop malware, ransomware, even brand new attacks that antivirus signatures wouldn't recognize.
Smarter protection at the device level. Makes sense.
And increasingly, AI, artificial intelligence, and behavioral analytics are becoming critical.
How does AI help?
It's great at spotting anomalies, unusual transaction patterns, weird login attempts from strange locations, things that deviate from the norm in ways that older systems or even human analysts might miss.
Okay, so the tech is obviously key, but the sources also really stress the human element, don't they?
Absolutely, because often the weakest link isn't the technology, it's, well, us, humans, often unintentionally.
Like clicking on that phishing email we talked about.
Exactly. So regular, realistic phishing tests are crucial. See who clicks, and then provide really solid cybersecurity awareness training for all staff. Teach them what to look for, how to react, make them part of the defense.
And training with the SOC team itself, too.
Definitely. Regular incident response drills. Practicing what to do when a real breach happens. They need to know their roles, the procedures, how to communicate, how to act fast and effectively when the pressure is really on. Practice makes perfect, or at least makes better.
It sounds like sharing information is also a big theme. Collaboration.
Very much so. The sources strongly advocate for banks talking to each other, sharing threat intelligence. If one bank sees a new type of attack, letting others know helps everyone prepare.
And working with regulators, like CamCert.
Yes, engaging with bodies like the Cambodia Computer Emergency Response Team is important. And joining industry groups helps everyone stay updated on the latest threats and the best ways to defend against them. It's about collective security.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together for you, the listener. The core message about SOCs for Cambodian banks seems pretty clear.
Yeah, I think it boils down to this. SOC isn't some optional extra, some nice-to-have luxury anymore. In today's digital finance world, especially in a rapidly growing market like Cambodia's, it's fundamental. It's essential for survival and security.
Because the threats are just too real, too sophisticated.
Exactly. Trying to operate without that dedicated proactive security capability leaves banks incredibly exposed.
And the consequences of not having one, the financial hits, the regulatory trouble, the loss of trust, they're just too significant to ignore.
Absolutely.
Now, the sources seem to suggest that maybe a hybrid model for the SOC might be the best fit for many Cambodian banks, combining internal knowledge with external expertise.
That often seems like a very pragmatic approach. You get the benefit of an internal team that truly understands the bank's specific risks, its culture, its systems.
They know the environment intimately.
Right. And you combine that with the 247 monitoring, the advanced threat hunting skills, and the sheer scale that a specialized external provider can offer. It can be a really powerful combination, often more robust and potentially more cost-effective in the long run, too.
As long as you layer in the right tech.
Yes. The STISM, the EDR, the AI tools we talked about.
And build that security-aware culture across the whole organization.
Exactly. It's a continuous effort, this kind of proactive investment. It's not just a cost center. It's vital for securing their future in the digital economy.
And there was that final, almost provocative thought in the source material near the end.
Yes. The idea that how do you really know if you're ready for an attack unless you actually test yourself, like really test yourself with realistic simulations?
Stress test the defenses, find the weaknesses before the bad guys do.
Precisely. Because just having the defenses isn't enough. You need to know the work under pressure. It really drives home that point. It's not if an attack will happen, it's when.
So the key takeaway from this deep dive for you listening is pretty stark. Cambodian banks are facing serious, evolving cyber threats. Implementing a SOC, strategically and soon, isn't just a good idea.
It's essential for protecting themselves, their customers, and really the stability of their financial system.
And, thinking about it, it raises that bigger question you mentioned earlier, given how connected global finance is.
What happens if cybersecurity isn't strong enough in these rapidly growing digital economies? What are the potential ripple effects for international finance, for trust worldwide?
It's a reminder that security in one part of the world really can affect everyone. A sobering thought to end on.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
This deep dive is brought to you by SA Solutions for Asia, empowering you and fortifying your cybersecurity knowledge. Thanks for joining us on the SA podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and share, or leave us a comment, and get in touch with us for all your cybersecurity needs. SA Solutions for Asia, empowering you and fortifying your cybersecurity knowledge.